All right, guys, welcome. Let's talk about isometric view and developing an environment. So what I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, this is really important. It's really important for a couple of reasons. It's part of your job as an environment artist, especially working inside the entertainment industry, is going to give information and share information with other people. Part of that information might relate to, it's going to relate to the full distance of a room. And let me bring the blog back up here. Let's take a look at some samples of work, okay? It's going to relate to information of a room, how do rooms hook up to the exteriors. We're not doing that on this assignment. That's extra credit for if you want, but right now we're just going to start with a base room. And I think one of the best samples that we have on here, I was trying to find some good reference, but it's sort of hard to find this, and there's a given reason for that. A lot of people don't share this, but this was a good student piece that I found. Having a top view floor plan is key, okay, because people will build up, and actually a 3D modeler will build around this environment that's here. Oops. Okay, and then after you build your model like this, you want to come in here. This is an isometric view here, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring this into Photoshop real quick. If I can get the screen to pop up. Let's try that again. Sorry for the delay. I swear to God. Could the geniuses at Apple figure out a way to get the freaking screen thing to work for once? There it goes. Drag it in there. Perfect. Okay, so the common thing that you're going to notice in this drawing right now is that, let's get layers up here. So I'm going to draw on top of this. So this is basically principles for our isometric view. Okay, it's basically a box. So if you come over here and you look here, 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 and here, okay, it's basically a core box view. So it's somewhere like we're basically looking down on this. The horizon line is going to be way high, like so, and we're looking down on our box. And our box is just a simple rectangle. Now, when I was taught this, when I was working at a studio, one of the things that the gentleman that taught me this, he made a comment that you don't always have to have convergence happening when your lines are receding back the other way. Okay, so when our lines start to, let me turn touch off there. When our line starts to recede back to VP1 and VP2, so if I take this line from here and recede that back, and I come over here and I recede that edge back, like so, that basically it's the same distance from here to here to here to here. There's no real convergence happening. And again, part of the reason that why we're doing that is because we're just sharing information with the viewers. So usually when you do your isometric view, you're not going to have to be, your rectangle isn't going to be this gigantic rectangle. Now, if we were to go out of this, eventually there might be a little bit of convergence as we start to move really further out. You might start to see it get a little bit smaller back in here. Do you see that? But we're not going to be that far out. Okay? We're going to be right up in here. We're basically going to be inside this space right in here. Okay? It's that simple. And so you're not going to have to do that. Now, I know somebody, and then I'm going to get Angry Greek Phil's going to come out, and it's going to be like, what are you doing? This is not what I told you. It's like my dad would say, right? Pay attention. What are you, like donkey? Okay? All right? That's how my dad talks, by the way. So do I have a vanishing point right there? No. Do I have a vanishing point there? No. They're so far off the page. We're basically that same principle that when I showed you before, is that we're drawing like this. Okay, let me come back over here. Put a grid there, put a grid in here like this. We're basically drawing really close on the grid like that. The vanishing points are way, way, way off. Okay, I don't have to be concerned about all that. All I'm doing is I'm drawing this basic box view. If my box was really long, like I just showed you, eventually you would see some form of convergence starting to happen. However, though, we're not seeing that right now. Okay, we're just up here, up close. Now, there was an example that I showed you guys on the student blog, which is from Feng Zhu. When I was looking around the internet, I have two isometric views, but I can't show them to you because they're still, the shows haven't been released. They're from freelance I did. So here is the Feng Zhu version. Okay, I thought this was a really great idea. Again, I was talking about, we talk about A work, B work, C work, right? No hard feelings. That's okay. That's pretty good. That's a base room. Here's, if I was an art director on this, I'd be like, well, that's not really, that's not really in the center right there. That ellipse is off. But there's enough information there for that individual to display information to a modeler. If I was working on a show, which I am a 3D modeler, I could model that environment off of that drawing right there. What I couldn't do is I couldn't understand what this wall is and this wall is. That's usually why after an isometric view like this, we get down and we place a camera, like right over here from the bed, looking this way, or maybe we have a camera back in here. Now this room is a little bit harder because it's in an L shape. We're not doing L-shaped rooms. Well, actually, I'm giving you the freedom to do whatever you want. You could do an L-shaped room. If you do an O-shaped room, you're going to give yourself a world of pain, okay? It's going to be a lot harder. So stay simple. I would just advise just do a basic square, okay? But I want to show you where you could take this. Even doing comps like this, quite common. People do nice little color comp variations, okay? Here's something a little bit more detailed. There's a Maya set done as an isometric view where we just render it. Really base, you can render it with the typology setting on it. And that's information. So I already had a student in this class ask me, can we use Maya? You know, if you want to use Maya to block something in, Maya is a tool, okay? That's totally fine. Just don't get caught up in the modeling aspect of it, because then you're not going to have enough time. Now, I'm not going to want to see that from you. I'm going to want you to go over that with a line drawing. Okay, so because the line drawing is key. Okay, so anyway, let's go back here. So that you can see right there how important that would be to like a feature production. That you could also do an overlay on that in Photoshop and then have the whole exterior of the drawing and then be able to show both versions of it. And then also being able to like zoom into there and have a camera in here with a reverse view. That'd be fantastic. That would be what I would call, you know, and then these little top views right here. That's feature caliber work. Okay, so real quick, let's back up. Let's go over the story. I put all this information up here for you. Okay, an isometric view is very similar to drawing inside a box. It's a particular perspective that places the viewer over the environment, allowing them to see on top with multiple sides visible. It does not have to be in three-point perspective, but the horizon line is definitely up high. Therefore, we are looking down on something. These are common views required in production for establishing key locations for main characters. So you're basically displaying to the storyboard artist, the director, and everybody else the environment in which the characters are going to act inside. Okay, and usually the reason why the information is so important is that all this information you're providing is going to go into an art reference pack. This pack of information, which is usually anywhere from like 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick, is the information that's going to be handed to the freelance artists, the storyboard artists, the painters, other designers, 3D modelers, etc. So your information pack, usually on a show, they might have 1 or 2 key storyboard artists, and then the rest of the board artists are freelancing board artists. They work on numerous different shows. So having that information for them is really, really key. Also, if this is most shows and productions, the core creative work is done in-house and then it's sent overseas. So your drawings are going to be sent overseas as well to India, China, Philippines, Canada, Yugoslavia, Hungary, or wherever the studio might be for people to work on. So your drawings are going to have to really make sense and be true. Okay? You'll be designing the interior of a child's bedroom with many props that help identify the story attributes about that character. So gathering reference and designing props will be your first step to identifying the character and the character traits listed below. Okay? Don't start drawing the room. Start with some props. That's why I asked you guys to get reference. Here is story, the backstory. The Mueller family lives in Aurora, Missouri. This is true because they're actually related to my wife. Okay? Kathleen and Cliff, the mother and father of William and Hannah. There's also a third one called Nathan, but I left him out of this one. Okay? They have family lineage that traces back to the Northern Vikings of Norway. Kathleen is a high school science teacher, while Cliff is a hardworking wood craftsman, should be a space there, inventor, and semi-truck driver. Okay, he used to drive trucks all the time, and then he hurt his back, and now he does some other stuff on the side. They live in a 2-story house with a basement on 7 acres of land next to a large Missouri forest. Together, as a family, they complement each other by traveling, solving local mysteries within their city. Choose one below. William, he is the older of the two. Okay, he is 12 years old, tall, slender, and lanky. Does anyone know what lanky means? My son is lanky.
Tim is this one.
Tim is sort of lanky until he fills out. I was lanky until I was like 23. I was still tall and lanky, and then all of a sudden, I put on like 50 pounds. And now
Oh,
I can't ride. Now I can't ride my new skateboard because I'm outside of the weight rating. It says do not exceed weight rating of 250 pounds on the skateboard. I'm like, what? I weighed like 213. That means I can't, Anyway, and then I jumped on it, and it's all the board's all. My son's all, Dad, you need to lose weight. I'm like, thanks. Okay. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so William is the older brother. He's 12 years old, tall and slender. We talked about that, right? Spends his days skateboarding, bike riding, scooter jumping. I was going to say scooter riding, or just riding a scooter, right? Okay, and boxcar racing. He loves things that move. Now, I mentioned before in the house there's a basement. I didn't say what kid had what room where. You have the complete flexibility to use your imagination on this. Maybe he's commandeered one half of the garage stall, and part of the garage stall is his basement. Boys like to do stuff like that. Boys like to get out of their normal space and go find another space and nest it and turn it into their little home. Okay, so he could have, there's all different types of basements. We're not familiar with them in California. I had one in Chicago. I had an English basement, which means it's on a hill, and I had windows about this tall in the basement. So I could see out the windows, and then it was underneath everything. Doesn't count the square footage. There's other types of basements that you've seen in other movies. They have the big doors that open up, okay? And then you walk down. So there's all different types of basement. You might have a room inside a basement, but there could also be windows in a basement. Yes?
You mentioned there were 2 floors. Could one be an attic?
Actually, there could be 3 floors. So there's a 2-floor house. Okay? Yes. There's a 2-floor house. So yes, that's why I'm saying about using your imagination. There could be an attic upstairs. There could be a basement. He could use one of the stalls in the garage. He's taken over and put up plywood and drywall, and he has one room in the garage stall. Maybe his door is the garage door opening or something, right? Use your imagination on that. Make it interesting. Absolutely. So technically, I said 2-story house. The attic usually does not count as a floor, but it's there. Neither does the basement count as a floor when you're selling a house. It's just called 2-story with attachments. Okay, so it could be any of those. Technically speaking, there could be an outside garage there's an attached and unattached garage. Most of us have grown up with attached garages. Earlier houses in the 50s and 60s were built, for insurance reasons, with unattached garages, where the garages were off to the side and they had electricity, but they're not part of the house. Okay, so it's up to you on how you want to pursue this. Okay, I just gave you some basics there. All right. He also enjoys remote control cars, other RC devices as well. What are other RC devices? Helicopters, boats, planes, maybe robot, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. He's a kid that's into gadgets and gizmos. Okay. He spends a lot of time creating inventions that really never seem to work. So he likes to take things apart. He's heavily influenced by his father's workshop abilities. He can take anything apart and piece them back together. There's a hint right there. You need to learn to read through the script. I mentioned that his dad did woodwork. He's a wood craftsman. That means somewhere on their property they have a wood shop.
That could be the basement.
That means when you read this part here, your little connectors should understand the correlation there, that he's heavily influenced by his father's workshop abilities. He can take apart anything, piece it back together. So this kid likes to take things apart. He has access to wood, to machines, to tools. So inside his room, if there happened to be an air compressor, a little portable air compressor and a nail gun, that wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? Okay. I also, threw something in there. Okay. He makes inventions. So he's putting all kinds of stuff together. He's into RC cars. Maybe he's making his own robots. Maybe he's making his own dinosaur. All right, whatever it is. And then he's actually been working on a rocket backpack powered by potatoes and other leftover vegetables. So he's trying to make this backpack. It's got rockets on it. It has some type of gadget or system that might hold. Are your ideas or your rotors in your mind starting to turn a little bit? I hope so. Hope some of you aren't like, I don't know, bro. So there's a lot there of that description about him, what you could have, where the room might be, what elements he might have in his room. So obviously he's going to have a bed in his room. Obviously he's going to have a desk. He might have a desk that has a computer on it that has some encyclopedias, but then in the middle of that desk, he might have another desk in the center of the room that's like a table, that's like his work table. So if I was designing that room, what I like to do, and this was sort of the breakdown I wanted to give you guys today, is I go gather my reference, which a lot of you guys have the 5 pages of reference. Okay, I take that reference, I look through it, and then I start to piece things together, and then I tuck the reference away for a little bit. The reference is there to support you. We don't want the reference there to be a copy material. It's to guide you through part of your design process. So if I was designing this, the one thing that's important to me about this boy is how he likes to, he needs a workspace. He needs a work table. So in his room, he might have like a coffee table that's just cluttered all with with robots, RC cars. There might be an RC car on his bed, on his pillow. I walk into my son's room and it's like a hurricane hit that place. I mean, he has now he's into skateboarding, right? He has his helmet, his skateboard. He brings them upstairs with him and puts them by his bed because they need it, and he doesn't want his sister to touch him either.
Yeah.
All right, so he puts stuff next in his room, right? Another thing I like to do when I design rooms, okay? So I'm thinking of the props, which is where you want to start. So I think about his bed. I wouldn't go too complicated. I always have students who go, I'm going to make a race car bed. Okay, if you can't draw a race car, don't do a race car bed. Okay, start with something basic. Maybe he just has a base bed, nothing, just with a headboard or, a little front board. Maybe there's a chest there. Okay, I start going through all these ideas. I tend to write them down on paper. I'm visually explaining them to you. Okay, but to me what's important about this character is the workspace that he has, which, he might have a separate table, a coffee table. Maybe he has a fold-out, what do you call them, horses,
Sawhorses?
Yeah, sawhorses that are folded out with a piece of cardboard on top. Maybe he lives part in the garage and whatever. He's got inventions. So one thing I like to do, which is important, is people tend to forget the ceilings. On your reverse view and forward view, it's always a great idea to incorporate stuff into the ceilings. What are important about ceilings? Well, kids love to hang stuff from their rooms. Okay, kids, especially boys. Well, my daughter does that stuff too. My daughter has one of those. We'll get to that in a minute. But boys hang airplanes. They hang like spaceships. They hang all kinds of things from the ceiling. Ceilings also have lights in them. Okay, ceilings can be decorative. They could be beamed with like multiple beam patterns. If he's living in the basement and you're drawing the room, what's up above usually in the basement? The subfloor. So you can see the subfloor and usually the pipes, unless it's a finished basement. Usually most basements are unfinished and you can see all the piping and everything underneath. So you got to incorporate all those little elements, okay? All right, let's jump to Hannah. Okay, Hannah is a little scientist who loves exploring and loves nature. Okay, so she's sort of like a little tree hugger, right? She might have long hair. She might be running around. She's 8 to 10 years old, so she's a couple years younger. Okay, some would describe her as a girly tomboy, or tomgirl, I guess I should say, who isn't afraid of getting her fingers dirty. So she's girly. She might have girly things, like a nice white bed and little teddy bears, but then she goes outside and she's chasing elements of nature. She's chasing butterflies with a butterfly net. She might be catching, caterpillars and, all that type of stuff. She might make mud pies. She might be doing all kinds of things, being an outdoor sort of girl. Going, like I said, where does the house by?
Forest.
Forest. It's there for a reason, right? Because she might be going out in the forest. She might be doing things. She might be bringing stuff back. She might have an aquarium in her room, not with water, but with like a piece of wood with a lizard on it or something. Okay, little things like that. Okay, she likes the outdoors, loves to go for hikes in the local forest, exploring nature and all the insects. She loves teddy bears and collecting stuffed animals of her favorite insects. All girls love teddy bears and stuff like that. They're like little gifts. My daughter has like 50 million on the bed. Like half of them are fire hazards, so they're just waiting to catch on fire. Okay. So if she likes insects, she might have a bunch of teddy bears that are like insects. Girls like to collect stuff they like. My daughter loves horses. 70% of all her teddy bears are not butterflies. Why? Because she likes horses, right? So they're all horses. Okay. So use your common sense and think about what she would have if Hannah really likes butterflies or she really likes crickets, or maybe it's whatever it is, whatever insect or bug, spiders, right? She's going to have some of those around, okay? But I wouldn't go, like if you did spiders, I wouldn't have a room like totally pitch black and all. Yeah, I'm just trying to have it where it makes sense. She's still a girly girl. Girly girl colors, whites, pinks, blues, okay? All right. She loves teddy bears and being around her mother. what does her mom do?
Chemistry
High school
teacher.
That's right. Some of you are like, huh? I didn't know she had a mother. I thought it was a Pixar movie. No, okay. Being around her mother has given her an interest in chemistry for combining different elements together and experimenting with elements to see how to use them. She's probably going to have a beaker or sets of beakers in her room or empty mayonnaise jars with like stuff that's been soaking in it, and she's like making little mixtures and she's seeing what's happening. What happens if you take sulfuric acid and you put a butterfly in it? No, just kidding, right? No, what happens if you put things together? What happens if you take, she might have something that has like dirt in it, and then there might be another little beaker that's dropping some type of soap, and then she's putting vinegar in it to see what happens. She's going to be doing the experiments, right? She might also have a chemistry chart on the wall, something, right? All those little elements. She likes chemistry and she's outdoorsy. She's into nature, okay? Does this sound like the type of character that's going to have a big picture of like a religious symbol? No. She's into nature and science. I'm telling you, I get it all. I have to always go back to the common sense and like, okay, she's not that type of girl. She's outdoor girlsy girl, naturist in the spiders, bugs, how things work. She's not going to have a big old, cross on the wall or something, right? Not that type of character, right? Okay, just throwing that out there. It's the same thing with the boy. You got to think about what he's going to have or not have. I don't know if he enjoys the outdoors, but I don't know if he's going to have like a football helmet necessarily, right? I don't know if he's a football player. He just likes doing what kids like to do: skateboarding, karate, having fun, riding bikes around, stuff like that. Okay, all right. If you have time, you could try to design the exterior of the house. I don't think you'll have time, but if you did, you can. So there are due dates. Okay, there's some basics there, and then any of the demos I'll do, I'll render out. I'll post up. Okay, so first things first, let's jump back here. The first thing that I'm going to do, we talked about an isometric view. So basically, all you have to do is if we just turn this off, and I come over here, I'm going to put a new layer. Okay, this is what I would recommend for you guys to do. This is how you should start. Come over, draw yourself a little top view like so, okay? And then just come over here like this and just draw. Now look, I'm just going to take the ruler, I'm just going to lightly put a couple marks so they're all parallel to each other. Do you see that? And come back here, I'm going to get what feels like a pretty good 90-degree angle to here and to here, okay? Uh-oh, I even did that crooked. Just like this. And you're just going to start rough with a box. That's it. That's all I've drawn right here. There's no 3-point. Am I doing this? No. There's no convergence happening. It's just a simple base box. Okay? There we go. Now, you do want to draw through the box to make sure things are hooking up correctly. So if we go to this back side, that's pretty parallel there. Drop that down there. Come back through here. Okay. Now, I just realized that I'm crooked in the back there, so I'm going to fix that real quick. Okay, it's just me working too fast. But I was going to do this as a rough sort of thumbnail pass. There we go, something like about there. There, that feels a little bit better, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, since I'm looking down on this right now, I can take this, bring this over here. Actually, I'm going to distort. Let's see if I can just bring that teeny bit back that way. And I'm just going to scale it up a little bit more. Oops. Okay. So even if your box is off a little bit, that's fine for right now. We're just going to rough up. I hate, let me stand up and work like this. Sorry. I hate working sitting down like that because I'm looking at the monitor at an angle and it doesn't quite feel right. I'm going to fix part of my box here. I like to have a little bit of convergence, and that's just me personally. That if I come in here, I just like to have a little bit more. So I'm going to end it. Okay, why isn't anything working? Hold on. Okay, let me pause. Now my pen's empty or dead or something. I don't know what's going on. Alright, I'm on a layer here. There it goes. Alright, right here. So I'm just going to come over here, get a little bit more convergence happening on that side. just like so. That's perfect, okay? Now, what I like to do is I like to make a list. So I start thinking about what are the key elements that are going to be inside the kid's room. First thing he's going to do is he's going to have a bed. So let's say I'm going to do the boys' room, right? He's going to have some type of a table with almost every kid has a work desk or table or computer. He might have some encyclopedias, and I know we have Google now, but still you could put some encyclopedia, okay, / books on the side. You might have a work table. So basically what you want to do is you're just going to start laying out the room. You're going to get a good idea for how things work. However, though, as you think of all the props that are in the room, you also want to consider these factors. You want to consider light, okay, meaning that where the window is going to be, is there going to be some type of light hanging down? Where's the door going to be? Okay, so position of, so I'm going to put entry / exit. Okay, we have light, quote unquote bathroom. Okay, some rooms are connected to another door that go to a bathroom. So as I start to draw this, I might think in my top view, technically this way in the room, I might have the bathroom over here. There might be a large window here, and then I need to think, okay, maybe over here is going to be the exit then. So if that's to the bathroom, you'd be surprised how many environments I see from people, and I'm like, look, there's no way in or out, right? There's only one door that goes to a bathroom, and people forget that. So that might be the main door, okay, that the person gets in and out. This might connect to the house, so I wouldn't put a window here unless you're thinking the house connects to one side, but these are all the things you have to think of, especially if you're designing multiple characters. You only have to do one room right now. But if you're designing, usually when you get put on a show, you have multiple characters that live in the same house. You have to design all their bedrooms, and you have to think about the house, and all this stuff has to connect. It's like a little math problem. We're not getting that complicated right now, okay? So I might decide to put a window here. Maybe it has 2 sets of windows. So that's it. Now I need to come in here, and I need to start drawing. I come in here, and I just say, okay, here's where my door is going to be. And then you basically start sketching from here. What I do is I put the markers in, because then I start with the markers and I come back with another layer and I start mapping out the props. Because sometimes the props don't hook up to the markers. So the key markers, what are your key markers? Your key markers are going to be the door, okay, door to put entry, exit, okay, the door to bathroom, and then you're going to have the windows. Okay, and that's part of your light. So those are your key markers that you have to have. So you can change those key markers around. However, it's easier to start with a blank model and then add to it. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to imagine that's my door. I'm going to imagine now over here. See on my top view, I was positioning the bathroom over here in the corner. That doesn't really work now because why? If I put the bathroom door there, I can't put a bed against that door. You see how the problems you start to have? So I might come back into this and say, like, maybe the bathroom might connect like here. Maybe there's a bathroom. Maybe it's a little bit better to have it here or here, and that connects to another room on the side. That might be a better choice. Some houses have the bathroom connect, and then you can also access from the hallway a second door this way. So there's like multiple doors. Some of you might have had that growing up. So I've already realized the importance of, what Phil said about, one of my markers, I might have a window. So I might sketch in just a rough window that might be over here. And then I might decide to have another window that's somewhere over here on this side. Okay? Like so. Now, everything else is coming in here and just plotting in the room. So this is a part I do on another layer. So if I have to change any of my markers, I can. I already know that my bathroom's not going to be here. My bathroom should probably be somewhere in the middle. Okay? And then you just come in and you just sort of lay out the room. So now I'm going to come in on another layer, and I'm just going to say, okay, you have to make decisions. Now, is this bed going to go this way? Beds are rectangular. They're not square. So I'm just going to come in here. So I make sure that my line are just going to be parallel. Excuse me. Slip there to the other line here. So I start to sketch in. So am I doing detail right now?
No.
Am I doing the covers on the bed?
No.
No. I'm just doing blocks. I want to do this on a separate layer. Okay, I'm doing the bed there, so I'm thinking if his bed's there, hey, you know what? This could be a cool place over here for, maybe he has a little chest. It's right over here. Not like a toy trunk or whatever, chest of toys or something. I might come over here and be like, hey, you might have a table. It's drawn cubes right here. There might be a chair somewhere back in here. You might have a table there. Maybe he has a large, what are other elements in a room? Rug. Might have like a rug right in here. I'm starting to already feel like this room's just too large. You get that feeling? Or I get that feeling, like it's just too much space. So I need to make decisions now. I might decide to bring a wall in a little bit closer. Okay, I might decide to bring the right side over a little bit more and squeeze it in. So I need to make some of those decisions as I keep filling up props here. I mean, what are the key elements I have? I'm going to have this one here. I got the bed. I'm going to have a desk. Yeah, so that's a good idea. So maybe we come over here. Now, what else is in a room that I haven't put? It's another key marker.
Did you put a mirror in?
No. More important than that. What do you do every morning after you? Huh?
A dresser or something for clothes.
Where do you keep your clothes?
In a wardrobe.
In a closet.
There's already a floor in there.
So,
He is a 12-year-old boy.
so you need to think about the closet. That's another key marker. Okay. So if I come up now, some closets technically, see, this is where I could change it up now. That door right there could be a door to a walk-in closet. How many people here, most bedrooms and kids' rooms don't have walk-in closets? Usually it's the master bedroom that has a walk-in closet. So most kids' rooms in their houses don't have walk-in closets. They tend to have a closet that's going to be put on the side. So if I decide to come over here and I put like drapes that might be down or something, and imagine that this room now does this, and I have a cut through like that, that might be the walk-in closet in there. Well, now I just aced where the access to the bathroom would be. So now I might have to make that bathroom over here on this side. So I might come over here, put a door there for the bathroom. Okay? And then you just keep filling it up. You keep going from there. So Elena had a great idea. She said a bookcase. So look, we walk in that door. The door opens up like so, right? You come in here, and then right over here against the wall, there might be a bookcase. Now, when you walk in the door, what is there usually in every room when you walk in?
Light switch.
That's right. See, now I'm getting your brains to think a little bit, right? So if he walks in the door, there might be a little light switch here on the wall. What do we also tend to put right by doors when we walk in? Gun racks, yeah. Skulls of our victims. No, we tend to put a lot of times, so when you're designing rooms, you have to think of filler objects. We put coat racks sometimes, or on the wall you have, so you walk in your room, first thing you do is you take off your coat or your jacket and you hang it on like a little coat rack that's right there. So I might give a little bit of space between here and here for maybe another element you tend to have is a light. As soon as you walk in a room, you have access to a light, or you have a switch that turns on the light somewhere else. So now that we've mentioned lights, okay, let me sketch in an idea right here. This was the bookcase. So I might have a bookcase that's over here. So I rough this in. Okay, then, I got the door here opening up. And then, I have the little light switch there. So I need to decide if I want, maybe have a little hanger here. It's there, so when you walk in, now I need to think, well, what do I put on this wall? What do you have over there? So that's where sometimes you adjust the height of this wall. Well, we mentioned something about lights, right? So what if he had, and this is where I might need to draw this in another color, and eventually we lose part of the cutoff here, but what if there's a window there? And then I come over here, there's a window here. So we could have a window there. That means I need to put something in this area right in here for him. He could have a special low table. That's his work area, right? So he could have a table that comes out like this. You might have another little desk there. You might have, I can indicate like a little light or two. Right here. You might have a bunch of stuff over there. See what I'm getting at? I just keep filling the room full of detail. I mentioned lights, right? Every bed tends to have a nightstand next to it. So I might put a nightstand right in there. Okay, now that's just one layout right there. How many of you rearrange your rooms? Usually on every year, a couple of years. Oh my God, my daughter rearranges hers like every 3 months. So I'm just like, okay, I want the bed over there. I want the bed this way. I want the bed that way. I'm like, no, too many choices. Okay. So what if that was one night table there with a lamp usually on it, like so, right? Usually in a lot of rooms there tends to be a second night table. maybe in a boys' room. There's not. Boys, I don't know why, boys love being in the corner of the room. Like I want to be by the wall so I can wipe my boogers on it. I don't know why, but so there might be, and I come over here and start putting little details. There might be pillows, there might be something here. You might have something hanging from the wall here, like an airplane or a TIE fighter, whatever, right? So I just keep filling up the room. Once you do this in this rough phase right now, look, it's all in one layer. See that? If I feel like my room isn't working, this is where I start making adjustments. I really feel like, you know what, usually in a kid's room, he doesn't have 2 full desks and still tons of room to walk around. So I have a lot of excess room in here. You see this? So it might be in my best interest, and look at all the space from here to here. It might be in my best interest to maybe move that back wall back this way to about here, let's say. See that? I might move that wall in a little bit to accompany that variation right there, because I have lots of excess room in there. Okay? Now, I would recommend, as you're doing this, isometric views, here's the hard part of this assignment. You ready? Isometric views always look different than when you do your vanishing point views. Okay? I'm going to want you to come in here and put a camera right here, looking this way. Notice when I put that camera, I'm beyond the halfway mark of the room. That's the halfway mark of the room, right? I'm back here looking this way at the room. And then when I put the other camera in, I'm going to put it back over here, pretty much the other distance, the 3/4 distance, looking that way. I'm going to have one camera looking this way. Okay? So what I tend to do is when I hit this right here on another sheet, I tend to rough out really lightly what my one view is going to look like in the position of the bed. I just enables me to get a little bit lower. I throw a horizon line in here, so I know I'm going to see 1, 2, 3 walls. So I could do this in like a 1-point perspective, which is totally fine. And I might come over here and sketch like the idea of the bed, the pillows. He has a nightstand. He has a desk. The walls here. There's a window here. Oop, I need to reframe. I pull out my frame a little bit. He has another work area here with a chair. He has something hanging from the ceiling here. He might have a poster on the wall. Oh, I'm sorry, he has a window right there. See what I'm getting at here? This is how I'm designing my room. So what happens inside your isometric view is going to transfer right back to your thumbnail view instantly. Okay? Sometimes I like to do a thumbnail first, and I get a better feel for what just one angle of the room feels like, and then I go do the isometric view. It's up to you. You can work either way. So what I really wanted to cover with you guys today is you can be rough, and you need to think about what you're doing. You just don't do one and then go plug it into the other. It doesn't work that way. You have to sort of work back and forth, okay? So what I like to do a lot of times is just sit like this in a top view and sketch out ideas. Say bed, nightstand, work table. Maybe has they have a, what do you call the things that are tall with an armoire? You might have an armoire. They have angled armoires like this. So if you open it up, you hang sweaters or some stuff like that in there. That might be his dresser. Dressers also can be low angle dressers with mirrors, right? On top, he might have the bathroom entrance here. Then he might have the closet here. And then he might have carpet, like a big round rug here. And then he might have a giant coffee table turned at an angle with all of his experiments on it. Okay? So it's all about doing that top view, getting the top view to start to connect to the isometric view, and then making sure that that's going to connect to your first angle. I wouldn't worry about the reverse right now. The reverse is usually just filling in work and information, but what's really key is this. As you guys start to work, I would start roughing out your key front perspective angle. Sorry, my chicken scratch is really bad there. Key front perspective angle, okay? While you are working at the same time on doing the isometric view, and while you're also working at the same time working on the top view. It's going to be important to get these three to connect. Personally, I like the gesture of this right here. This is my personal approach. I worked with a guy who would do it the other way. So I prefer to start here, because I like to find a gesture or something that's working in here, and then I go draw that in the isometric view later. Okay, it's up to you. If you're more linear and you talk like a robot and walk like a robot, you might decide to do this. Well, there are people that are very meticulous and they're much more linear in their thinking. They need more structure. So but it doesn't matter what you do. It's just how you get there that's important. And we all work in different approaches. Okay, like I think a good example would be like Tony. Tony's a Maya guy. He's more likely to block this out rough in Maya, set up a camera, rearrange shapes inside his environment, right? And then go in and draw on top of it. That's totally fine. That's how a lot of artists and concept artists now work with SketchUp or Maya, and they rough out locations first. Okay. When I do this, when I make my list right here, I'm going to give you a little helpful hint. You don't want to have every prop be an awesome prop. A bed can just be a bed, or a bed can be a super bed, right? Think about really defining like 2 key props or 3 key props in the room, and the others become secondary. Does that make sense? Like, for example, on this particular character, let me ask you this question. What do you think is one area or one prop that defines the character quite a bit? His desk or his work table with his little backpack on there with his engines and stuff, right? So I might sketch up and think about what that prop looks like and how that's identifiable. Okay? If you do this assignment quickly, you could quickly, by the end of this week, I'll give you the rest of today to work, and then Wednesday, of course, you could have a 1-point perspective rough done, and you could be on your way of filling out an isometric view and have those like locked in. Then when those are locked in, then you do the reverse view, which I'll do later for you, which is easy, right? Then it's all about just line cleanup and tone and making a great presentation page, and you have the next couple of weeks to get it done. Then you might be able to go along and do the exterior as well and get that to hook up. The more of this information that you have to hook up, the better it's going to be. This exercise right here on this assignment is one of those things that set people apart. So when I get a portfolio, and if I have 2 portfolios that are of equal value, let's say there are 15 pages in there, all 15 pages are great. I look in and I see that one person can do an isometric view, they can do a front and reverse view of a room. That's golden, because that's information you're going to have to do and provide. So it's not always that you get to do these big, pretty key locations from 1-point perspective or 2 or 3 points that you like. A lot of times it's designing and this sensibility. And again, if I was a storyboard artist, I now understand where the placement of everything is and how to work inside a room. Okay. Any other questions? I know there's some questions. Nikki?
Do we have to do the same 3 for the ceiling, or do we not incorporate the ceiling details?
What you can do is once you do the key front view and the reverse view, you can incorporate the ceiling. But in the isometric view, you don't have to worry about it right now.
So if we have stuff like hanging from the ceiling in the isometric, do you want that included? Or
What you can do in the isometric view is sometimes you could come over and you can put something like this, and then you could put like like maybe there's a lamp here, let's say. You can put the lamp in there so we know where it is.
Okay.
And then sometimes people put like a little dotted line that it connects to that part of the wall and it's up on the ceiling. Okay? Also, another question is the walls. A lot of times people leave these walls here are going to be completely lined. And then when you get over to these walls, you end up doing them with dots like this in the isometric view.
Or can we?
The dots indicating that we're looking through the wall. Okay, another thing you could do. Some people do the room and then they leave this part of the wall sort of off. And then some people then do it as an overlay. Eventually you want to have it because you want to see how it connects. So now, thank the Lord for Photoshop, right? You can technically have a wall on one side and then lighten that layer down at the end so it's much lighter so you can see the wall, but then because of the layer effects in Photoshop, right, I can still see, like if I have, for example, this shelf case right here. If that shelf case is, let's say there's another rug in here. Let's say he's got one giant rug in here.
Mm-hmm.
I can now, that looks horrible. Let's say the rug's like this. Okay, I'm just roughing it in, right? Let's say my rug's like that. I can now do this complete wall right here on a separate layer, and then I could just go in and I can lighten up the values on it. So obviously, Phil didn't do it on a separate layer as I'm working. So imagine if I just took that whole wall right now and I went to levels. Let's try that again. There we go. And so if it was on another layer, then I could just come in here and, oops, other way. And I could lighten it up like that. See, where I could still see what's on there on another layer, but then I could see the stuff that's underneath it as well. Okay? So working digitally is great for this. You don't have to work digitally. If you don't work digitally, that's fine. But I don't want rough, chicken scratchy, crappy thumbnail drawings. You need to go over your work. And I mean, if I wasn't working digitally, I would do this with tracing paper and a Prismacolor pencil. I would rough out my room, and then I'd keep putting layers on top of it, and then I would come back with a nice pencil with a sharp end, and I would thick and thin the line drawing, get all the line drawing drawn down. Okay, but remember, your goal on this project is you're going to have 2 pages when you're finished. One page will have the isometric view and the top view. Okay, you could even do prop callouts or scale callouts. I thought that might be a question. So what would that mean? That would mean I might come over here on the side, and I might do something like this. Might have a couple light lines in here, like so. And then I might put a key prop in the room, like the dresser, like this. Maybe the table on a front view. Maybe he's got something tall, computer like this. And then I would put the height of the character. Like that. You could do that. This is all information, right? So you could do that on here. In fact, if you wanted to, you could even come over here and then do a whole bunch of other props here in the room. So you might have a chair that he's sitting in that's on wheels. You might have, maybe there's a large vase in the room. I don't know. You might have another vase that has a plant in it. So now I'm giving you the height relationships of all the props to each other. But those height relationships would have to hold up in here as well. Okay? More information, the better. Okay, they're going to love that type of stuff. So now I have a top view, I have an isometric view, and then I have a front orthographic, I'm going to call it front/side orthographic view for scale. All right, that's one page right there. If you make it look nice, it'll be a fantastic page. Your next page will then be your forward, reverse, your key front view, and then your reverse view of the room. Okay? All right, let me stop the recorder right there. I'm worried it's getting too... Did it not?